Well, actually, I think that you'd be the best one to see.
All right, we can start over then, right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
You can just come stand right inside here. We're not
In the
going to
gate?
squeeze you out yet.
You're allowed to do
All right.
Okay.
Now we'll start over. This is Elizabeth Miss River City's outstanding teen. And Jason, why don't you ask the first question?
Hi Elizabeth, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
What are some of the early warning signs of type 1 diabetes?
The biggest warning signs are fatigue, extreme fatigue, rapid weight loss, frequent urination, and excessive thirst. These are the 4 top warning signs in my opinion because they progress the fastest and they really lead to something called diabetic ketoacidosis that can cause a life-threatening problem prior to the administration of insulin.
Is there any kind of little simple mnemonic we have that tells us that we can remember what those 4 things are?
I actually don't, I've never heard of one, but let's make one up. Excessive thirst and extreme, never mind. I can't make one up on the spot.
Well, let's do that for next week.
Maybe I'll focus on that.
How has being a brand ambassador for JDRF prepared you to be Miss Missouri's Outstanding Teen?
Since I've spent time promoting a specific brand and advocating for something that's really passionate for me, I think that I'm really prepared to be Miss Missouri's Outstanding Teen because I've worked with social media, and that's something that, especially with COVID, we've had to really embrace, and really, as a Miss Missouri organization, we've really had to go out and promote our platforms and promote the Miss Missouri organization on social media. And I'm just as passionate about Miss Missouri as I am JDRF. I truly am. This organization has given so many opportunities to young women. I've never felt more confident than whenever I'm in an interview, being able to speak to successful people, or on stage in my evening gown and doing my fitness routine and my talent. So I am ready to be the next Miss Missouri's Outstanding Teen because of my experience with JDRF and because of my passion.
Why branding or calling your brand or your platform Victim to Victor? Why?
I am a victim of type 1 diabetes, and believe you me, if you know anyone with type 1 diabetes or have experienced it yourself, if any of you have it, you would feel a victim of this disease. It can be really, really awful. But I've decided that I'm not going to let it define me. I'm not going to let it be the person I am because I'm more than my diabetes, right? So I decided to make my platform a little broader than just awareness for diabetes because I believe that everyone's a victim of their circumstances. Everyone's a victim of whatever problems are thrown at them. So I decided from victim to victor to become a victor over your circumstances instead of a victim.
So, listen, I'm an elementary teacher, and if I wanted to book you as Miss Missouri's Outstanding Teen to come talk to my school, what topics could you talk to my classroom about?
Right, that's another reason that I chose from victim to victor. I've talked to some elementary schools. Actually, it was on Zoom this year because of COVID, but I've talked to them, and I've talked about victim to victor, and not as much a sad sometimes way, but more of a let's all decide to be positive. Positivity is key, especially I've noticed among teens, and elementary students are going to be teenagers one day, that depression and anxiety are really real problems in my high school. And I think if you can start young through positive attitude, positive thinking, and positive rhetoric, they'll really begin to grow their mindset and have mental toughness. And I think that's what I would always focus on in an elementary classroom, is positivity stemming from my Victim to Victor program.
As someone that wants to be a child psychologist, where do you think that line comes from? Just where you have to decide whether is this more than just we need to think positively versus like we need to seek help, professional help?
There's a very, very strong line. I really think there is, because it's different for every person, obviously. Like every person, some people are really going to react well to a different mindset, but some people really need a therapist or some anxiety meds. And I think the line is in a distinction of knowing yourself and knowing your circumstances and knowing what's happened to you. A lot of self-examination, and definitely a doctor and your parents, and just having a network. Like I said in my life skills education, always having a network of people that can read you and can study you, so that if you are having a problem, you can also be helped by those people around you.
What happens to Draco when he gets older?
Well, I think that whenever he left his family after fighting for the wrong guys, because his family fights for Voldemort, he becomes better. He becomes a better person. And in the 8th book, he has a kid, and that kid is friends with Harry's kid. So there's a lot of reconciliation that goes on.
So can you give me 10 seconds of a musical? Because you said you know
Of course I can. Let's go with I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I hope you're happy how you heard your cause forever. I hope you think you're clever. From Wicked. Gotta love
Very
Wicked.
good.
Yeah.
I have to wonder when I read about your nickname whether you are a how girl or a bow girl or a bow girl.
A bow girl.
A bow
Whenever
girl.
I was little, a baby, and until I was like 5 years old, my mom put a bow with every single outfit. And you know what? I never stopped. I wore a bow until I was 13 years old, and then I decided that I was a little too old for it. But
It's a sad day.
but
It's very-
keep a lookout for my fitness routine because I think I'm gonna bring a bow into that. So,
It's a sad day when you have to move on.
I know. I was like, maybe I shouldn't look like a 5-year-old anymore.
So give me a brief of your marketing plan to raise that $50,000 that you did for the GADR.
Whenever I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, my mom and I made a list whenever I was in the hospital of the people we knew that had type 1 diabetes or had a relationship to people with type 1 diabetes. And those were the first people we contacted because if you have type 1 diabetes, you automatically know the struggle and you are willing to give to this organization. And we saw a lot of gifts there. And then we went to our groups of personal friends and people that we knew would really want to help me out and who have seen the personal struggle in my life with type 1 diabetes. And those were people that we thought might give a gift of $500 or more. And then we did. But then one of our biggest parts was social media advocacy. This was right in the middle of quarantine. So everyone was on social media all the time with all their time at home. And we raised not as much on social media, but we did make an impact on social media. We could talk to our friends on social media about the things I was doing with JDRF, why it was so important. And then whenever we sent out the second mailing, we made a brochure that explained everything about JDRF, everything about type 1 diabetes. And it had pictures of me pricking my finger, pictures of me before diagnosis, post-diagnosis. And these were all steps in my marketing plan to how I could raise $50,000 that I believe really tugged at people's heartstrings and really got people interested in giving because this was such an important cause and it went directly to research that I've personally seen research, and that's why I believe that there is hope for a cure, and I'm confident that there will be one.
What's the silver lining that will come out of COVID?
I think the silver lining is people are really more connected with each other and their families. I personally saw myself grow so much playing board games and watching TV and just spending more time with my family than I ever got to. And I genuinely think as a world, it's important to have personal connections as much as it is to be involved in organizations. So prior to COVID, I did a lot of dance. I did a lot of all over the place. And I just didn't have as much time with my personal family and my personal life. And I think that it's a really good life lesson because I think family is going to be the thing that holds us together in the future.
So, I may be speaking incorrectly here, but stem cell has been used for research.
Yes.
What's your position?
That's actually the research lab I got to go to. I got to go see a stem cell endocrinology lab. And I've just never seen more hope for research. My position is that is amazing research. They cured type 1 diabetes in mice. And if they can do it in mice, I think they can do it in humans. So it's okay with me. I am all here for being able to progress in science and being able to cure this awful disease that affects over 200,000 children in the United
Your
States.
time's up, lady.
Okay, thank you.
Sit down.
Where should I sit? Over here?
Here.
Inside the fence now.
Oh my gosh!
In
In the fence!
Fully in.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put it here on you, Bree, because
Now you come
You're not
to the circle.
recording me,
So
are
I
you?
have to tell
no,
you, Elizabeth, I thought that was one of your best interviews.
Oh my
ever.
God, me too.
But
Thank
slow
you.
down. I felt like somebody
Oh,
vaccinated you
I didn't
with
feel like
a needle that you were going
the only answer I thought was Lockcast was the one about your marketing plan. Elizabeth, that's the
really,
best
I've
interview
been working
ever
so
heard.
hard to
Oh
slow
my
down.
gosh.
You
Your
should-
your interview was so
Dang it.
different.
I've mocked you also a few times,
This
and
was-
like that
yeah.
was like
Lauren went
one of
first
like
last time, but go around her. Go back to you go first.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Laura.
Right?
Just go ahead,
Yeah,
Laura.
go ahead.
okay. So yeah, that was one of the best times I've seen you do a mock interview. So
Thank
very
you.
Exciting. Yep. Slow down. I've heard it myself personally. Like you're gonna continue.
I've
hearing
been
it.
working on it.
And like it was when like you knew exactly what you were gonna say, and you were saying really great stuff. That's why I was like, okay, just slow down just a little bit more so we can like.
I wanted to pull you on your.
I think she's slower than
pants
she's
and
ever
say,
been,
take a
actually.
breath.
I think I was
I-
slower than I've ever been, for
I would
real.
too, Elizabeth, yes.
It just.
I'm not
like,
saying
the
I can't
marketing
still slow
one,
down.
And then when I was like, how
Mhm.
like how's your brand ambassador experience like gonna translate over to like Miss Missouri experience?
Okay.
And you were just really excited, so just take a little bit of time to like reminisce in that because like it was a great answer. I just was like trying to like hit it as like take it all in as much as I could and more time to reminisce. It just
Okay.
helped that.
My turn.
Yes.
You know, because you were so clear, because you had your answers and you knew, I mean, like, I didn't expect to hear so much when I asked you about your brand, you know, the title, your heading, why you chose that title,
Okay.
Victim to Victor. And you answered
Was it
like to
amazing?
me, you did so brilliant with
Thank
the
you.
answer.
So good.
I thought
Thank
that
you.
it was perfect. So I didn't mind your speed, and I think that when you are in the world that you're talking to CFOs because you want to raise money or something like that, you got to get to the point, and you got to get to the point quickly.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an elevator speech, right?
Right.
Or pitch. And I thought that you did, you know, like every single answer that you gave me in the questions that I asked, you not only, like when I asked you about stem cell, you know, you're not only related the information as a personal thing, but you also talked about, you know, going to the lab and seeing how mice got cured and so forth. And so all those details are very important, and I think that you did brilliantly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like that you believed in yourself when you said that, because there'll be some people that want to catch you with that, and you were just very clear, like, this is how I feel, and
Yeah.
I like
Thank
that,
you.
because sometimes people get really nervous, and you just kind of just laid the line down to us that this is how I feel about it.
So to agree, I'm totally in agreement, because then I felt like, well, I don't have to ask about pro-choice,
Right,
because
Right.
you already gave me the answer,
right.
and you already, you know, so you put me, you just killed me there,
Right.
Thank
No,
you. I
I
killed
agree
you
with that.
there.
basically, yeah. So
Okay.
And I like the fact that when I asked you about coming to talk to elementary schools,
That was so
it
good.
wasn't just your type 1 diabetes that you could talk about, that you have many experiences in your life, and
Thank
you can
you.
relate that to all kinds of
Yeah,
topics.
that's
And
kind of-
I like that you're not a one facet.
Thank you.
That was a
Because
really
that's
good answer,
Your
because
follow-up from
elementary
Lauren
kids
was
aren't gonna
awesome,
care
too.
about
yeah,
that
because
one
that's what I've
diabetes.
tried to incorporate with Victim to Victor. Is it more of an overall message? Because I mean, type 1 is important.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
but I do it.
Small.
Not everyone has it.
Right.
But like everyone needs to know the symptoms. But
It relates to everybody because of it.
Yeah.
And your follow-up answer to Lauren's was
Mhm.
so good
That
because you
was.
brought in mental health, which right now is
Is huge.
huge.
It's huge.
For
it is so bad at my
and
school.
your
Yeah.
and I even made a note and I forgot what I wrote down, but you said something in there about your and Gilberto even made a sound over there. And you said something about Lauren's follow-up, and you said kids with their network. The only thing is, what about those kids without a network? I would follow it up to you on that. Like, what
Okay.
about the kids that don't have that network?
How would you answer
How
that?
would you answer
I would
that?
say that I've watched my school plan clubs, and there are opportunities at my school where kids can get a network, even in your own classes, even in like the most simple of things. Even one person can become a network for someone, and that it's important. Well, personally, I'll talk to anyone.
I've seen you that
I'll
network.
be anyone's network.
I heard you. Exactly.
And I believe there are other people out there.
Right. It doesn't need to be their family. I've seen you talk about being that network. Right.
Like we
I
have
try.
a network set up in my school. Like if there's a teacher that a student had or knew that really, like, they formed a connection. Even like I'm 3rd grade, I still have some 5th graders who
Yeah.
come in. They check in every morning with me because
'Cause
they need that.
Even one
person.
person in your life
Right.
will can keep you from being unhealthy in your brain.
Yep.
Seriously.
And that's a good
Yeah.
point to
Okay.
bring in, is that maybe it's a teacher,
That
they
was
come
such
in
a
in the
good-
morning and they say, good morning, how's your day? You know, you can do this. And sometimes that's just what some
From
of those
going
kids
over the
need.
edge.
Yeah.
It really is.
I thought you did very well. You handled lots of different questions very
Thank
smoothly
you.
and very nicely. The one thing I was debating whether or not to push on the victim thing, because there's a question in there about, aren't you cheapening victimhood? If everyone's personal tragedy means they're a victim, we often think of victims as a special class of tragedies where, particularly with the George Floyd case going on, that's a victim. To be homeless from a hurricane or to have a disease, it's less clear that's a victim, some people would argue. And I would want to make sure you have an answer
Okay.
if someone asks you that question. Because not everyone's going to agree that you are a victim. You may feel a victim, but is feeling a victim sufficient for you being a victim? And are we lessening the true victim, or what someone might say would be the true victims?
Okay.
Just give some consideration.
Look up the type of definition of victim.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
just think about what Jason said, because here's the thing that happened in this interview. I'm gonna be honest with you, today's the first time I've been able to see you as Miss Missouri's outstanding team.
Thank you. That's
And
a
today-
good thing.
And today,
I agree.
good.
I
mean,
agree
I've
totally.
seen you on all levels. I know that you can raise money, you can do the job, but today you solidified it with your interview. It's the first time you've really done that for me.
Okay.
So I'm so happy. I mean, I had goosebumps. I'm so happy. But think about what Jason said, because you answered everything so well today. That's a deep question. Most people aren't like Jason that thinks that deep all the time, but you might get one of those on your panel.
And it
So-
happens.
And I heard that question last time too.
Good.
Someone, it wasn't quite as deeply worded as that,
Well,
but it was that question.
And how'd you
As you get more serious, people are going to ask you those deep
Yeah.
questions. right?
How'd you
Yeah.
answer it?
I think I said the same thing I said today. I believe I'm a victim of my disease. If you have known anyone with type 1 diabetes, you would.
I
However,
know it was
you
very.
can afford your insulin. You're white. You're
No,
fit,
what
you're
he's
busy.
asking you,
It's very different.
what he's
Yeah, but
asking you
I-
is deeper than that.
Yes,
He's
it
asking
is.
you that, are you really a victim? Because
Mhm.
a victim is someone like George Floyd, or someone who has been perpetrated almost, I don't even know how to say it, like somebody else has perpetrated a crime on them. Like the women I serve at my
Mhm.
job,
Yes.
they're
They're
victims
victims.
because somebody's either sexually
Yeah.
assaulted them or beaten them. So what's what is, are you truly a victim just because you have a disease? I mean, it's not a just. So just think about that. So if you get that question, you have a good answer for it.
Can
Yeah.
I be the dissenting voice?
Yes, you may.
As a Gilberto, I would be disappointed if you weren't.
Yeah.
Well, I just, and I can say I can be a victim because,
Yeah.
you look at me and,
But you're so
I will be
handsome,
the-
how would you ever be a victim?
I know, right? And you would think so. But when I open my mouth, they say, oh, go back to the field. Anyway, so I agree to like how cleverly can you use the fact that you're a victim. I think that you did well when you answer the question because you put yourself in that position. And nobody, like, I can never understand or feel or, like what it is to have diabetes. Because I don't have it, not yet. Knock on wood. But anyway, so I think that if you come from a very certain, strong position where you say, to me, the definition of being a victim is what I have. This is in my personal
Okay.
experience. I'm a victim.
Right.
And that's how I consider. But I understand that there's many different, and you kind of like alluded to that when you said, if I go to the third grade and talk to your class, I understand that victim may be more than. So how can you turn people that consider themselves victimized
Right.
to being a victor?
Mm-hmm.
You did that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think that if you stand, and I agree, Jason, so with the whole definition, but we have a perception because of media that you have to be in a dire situation in order to be a victim. And obviously because you're white, your white privilege does not allow you to be a victim.
Every diabetic is a victim of the pharmaceutical company at the moment as well, because insulin is supposed to cost $2.95 and it's now $495 a vial.
Yeah.
So in some ways, you're very much a victim of the pharmaceutical industry because of the cost that, you have insurance, health
And those are the
insurance.
answers, and that's the way I think you bridge it beyond. It's certainly, you speak powerfully, and so to say, this is how I feel is a powerful thing coming from you, but it's not probably enough, right? Because
At the age of 26, you go off your parents' insurance.
Yeah.
If they get rid of the
and so
Affordable Care Act, that can
hope,
change
you
to
know,
18.
powerlessness,
Those make
people
you
conspiring
yeah.
against you from profit and money. Those are the things that begin to connect you to a more
Pre-existing
classic
conditions.
sense
Also as a
of
simple,
victimhood.
if Bree said this correctly, you were in the hospital like
Last week.
like that's quite literally a victim. Like,
You are at
that's
a,
like,
you going into Miss Missouri, you are at a severe disadvantage over everyone else. You could drop low in the middle of the pageant. You are a pump. Like,
don't talk
Yeah,
about
I mean,
it.
Elizabeth, that makes you much different than everybody else. Those are the kind of things. But here's the one thing I'm going to say is, opposed to all of this, here is why this interview is different for you. Every interview I've watched of you, you are giddy and you are at this higher level. Your voice is higher. You're talking faster. There's a level of nerves from you.
You know what I did? I did not drink too much coffee.
Well, whatever you did, it was great. But you managed to seamlessly go from, I even made notes, from topic, you were talking serious, and he asked you something, and I'm like, what in the hell is he talking about? It was Harry Potter. It took me a minute to be like, she's talking
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter. I'm like, what's it? And then, like, the next question, you would talk serious, and you would, like, were going in and out of these.
And you had
There's not many people that can do
Right.
that. And that was brilliant.
Thank you.
You did so well, Elizabeth. Don't drink coffee the day of your interview.
I'll drink 1 cup and then I'll have lots of protein.
Whatever you did, you did
Elizabeth,
so well.
That's an
I mean,
interview
like,
that could take you to winning this Missouri.
Thank
so
you.
well. So impressed.
I will.
So proud of you. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. Don't go to the hospital the week of Miss Missouri. That's not
That's
it.
right.
That's how we did it. That's how we did it.
want to do
That's how we did it. But that's what he's talking about, victim. Those are the pharmaceutical costs, your disadvantages of Miss Missouri. Those are the victim things that make you a victim. Like, those are your tickets.
at the end of the
to
day,
be-
you were a teenager that spent time in the hospital. Like that's like.
You have to
like,
carry
Yeah.
snacks
Killed
like
it.
backstage. You have to have a pump on you. Like those
The
are
all over
You got
thing
it.
is
You
that
got
was amazing.
It was really
That
good.
was
Thank
very-
you.
If I were, all right, let's do this for fun. What would you have given her if you were a judge? Score 1 to 10. Remember?
I don't know. I never know the score.
I need to know
exactly.
their score. I'm there to score it. We just want to tell her.
Honestly, like 9 and like 10 if you could just slow down just a little bit, but that's me.
I think. What would you have given
I
her?
even scores.
See, you like, why?
Mom,
No, do it. I want to
I
know.
say 10.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that you, for me,
It was really good.
you hit all the points. So,
Really good.
I mean, I can't.
That's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
thank
I mean,
you.
I could be an asshole and said, oh yeah, 9.5.
You could.
I would have given you a 9 because you convinced me 2 things. 1, that you could speak intelligently, and 2, that you could connect with people. And those are the 2 most important things to be Miss Missouri's outstanding teen, is to connect with people and be able to speak. So I would have given you a 9. And I don't give many 9s. 8's high for me.
The one you'll see when you do your review it, there was only one answer where I thought you went on too long, somewhere in the middle. There was only one.
It was the marketing
Yeah.
plan, and that's the only time you talked fast. And I think it was because you wanted to get it all
Right.
in.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about that
It
marketing
is.
plan.
So go home
So you
and
know what,
write
go
that
home and
down.
write it down
Okay.
and like say, here's 1, 2, 3 steps that I used.
Okay.
That'll help you.
Yep.
All right, good job, girl.